Crusaders, and welcome to the podcast today. We're just going to do it like that because I'm pretty sure the whole episode we're going to be laughing. Yes. So for those of you who've been watching the show for a long time, you will recognize our guest today is my AV David friend, David Roberts. So glad you're here.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, I think I totally botched the whole intro that you were
That's
going to
okay.
listen to. So
Yeah.
what do I normally say? Hey, Grit Crusaders, I'm Brooke Plack, your host of the Grit Crusade podcast. I think that's what I normally say.
Getting real in the
trenches. Yeah,
Right.
but you know what? We didn't do it today. So today we just went with it. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. So you just got back from a trip. Yeah.
Yeah, just got back from Oahu, Hawaii.
Yeah. Now you were going to go to Maui though, right?
We were talking about going to Maui and supposed to go to Maui and then ended up booking the trip to Oahu. So my wife earned a trip and and invited me to go.
Hey, look at her.
I know. Yep. She's killing it.
Like my husband says, he's a kept man.
Right. Yeah.
Yes,
no,
yeah.
I loved it.
You were the kept man.
Super proud of her and glad we got to go. It was awesome.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. So this is actually a special episode because I'm starting a new mini-series with co-host.
Awesome. Well, I'm happy
so you're
to be
not a guest today.
Well, perfect. Now I can talk.
Yeah, you can talk. It can be the David Roberts show.
Well,
Yeah.
probably not.
Yeah,
But
so the next 4 episodes, we're going to be talking about balance in some form.
Yep.
And you threatened to wear a leotard.
well, because balance and balance beam.
And
Right.
there you went.
Yeah.
And you told me you were going to wear a leotard.
I didn't.
So I'm
didn't.
kind of glad and slightly feel like that could have gone viral if you
But
wore
I
the
did come back
leotard.
off vacay, so my jeans are a little tighter. So kind of a leotard. Yeah.
Kind of. You felt like you were
Right.
zipping up a leotard
Right.
today. You're like, dang,
That's
I
right.
can't wear the stretch
Wow.
pants.
Yeah. Got to do something different here. Yeah. That's pretty
I
funny.
know. I came back from Spain and Portugal this summer and got on the scales and was like, well, that was when I was
Right.
pregnant.
Yeah.
Like, here we are again. Oh my gosh.
Right.
I know. So what do you want to talk about today? Yeah.
But it sounds like we're talking about balance,
Yeah.
which is probably the perfect thing for us to talk about.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. So people that don't know your background, you
Yep.
were in AV.
No. Well, AV was a portion of it. But
Tell the
my
joke.
Yeah. So we were working on the microphones
Before we started
before we
today.
started. We had a little issue, which you always
Yeah.
have a technical issue.
Yep.
And so my joke about AV is that you can't spell David without AV, audio, video. Yeah.
boom,
Boom, boom, boom. Yeah.
shit.
Dad joke. Yeah. Most people don't think that's funny, but kind of funny.
I thought it was funny.
Background though, had a company that did all low voltage services, so structured cabling, voice and data, fiber, fire alarm, access control, and AV. That company grew.
I'm never going to be able to say your name again without thinking
AV,
that. Yeah.
or any David. Yeah, it's not just me, but I'm the one with the joke.
That's it.
Was fortunate to be part of that company for a long time, 21 years. The company sold to a public company in 2019, and since then I've been doing Blue Collar Consulting, which is the company I founded, really with the idea to help people in the trade service space, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, HVAC, that understand business and understand their trade and have all the certifications and really do a great job, and which we learned during COVID is really a necessary thing, and all those businesses grew, but to help them grow the right way, and then if they choose to monetize that growth at some point and exit, and just planning and helping people do those kind of things. So
Which is huge because I have a business right now that's, I would say financially on the struggle bus from where it has been historically, because it went in the period of about 18 months, went from like a $250,000 business to $1 million business.
oh wow.
And quality suffered.
Yep.
And so then I had to do, let me rephrase how I say that.
Okay.
And then we had to restructure our staffing.
Yep.
And then you lose customers when you
Yep.
lose staff.
Of
and
course.
so now we're back in a really amazing spot
Yep.
where it's like catapulting growth, but we suffered the consequences of that fast growth because we didn't grow the right way.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I like to tell people, which is kind of cheesy, but I'm the only growth consultant in Arkansas. And that's a term I don't even know that's real, but I coined it. So growth
Yeah.
consultant,
Yeah.
because you're not just trying to grow revenue, like you say, but you also have to grow the infrastructure, grow your people,
Yeah, I
grow
didn't
your
do that.
capital.
I didn't
When
do
most
that.
people don't.
I didn't.
Right.
Didn't do any of that. And I funded it, first of all, out of my previous business,
Right.
which was also a bad idea.
Of course.
Because I started the business with 3 staff members and 3 kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a good business
Mm.
model. Yep. So but I learned it the hard way.
Yeah.
And so for people that don't want to learn it the hard way, it's a lot easier to have somebody help them.
Absolutely.
For
Yep.
sure. You
Yep.
know? And so you got back from vacation, but you were ready to get back.
I was, yeah. So and people think this is crazy too. I mean, Hawaii was beautiful, loved it. It was great to spend some time with my wife and just kind of get to disconnect for a little while and relax. But I love to work. I love meeting with people. I love my routine.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm always ready I love to go do things, but I'm like a 4 or 5 day guy. And so 9 or 10 days
I'm like
was
a
a lot.
2.5 week girl.
Oh yeah, no, I know. And I love it. And so it's like a conflict back to balance. It's like a conflict in my own brain of balancing the fact that I love doing those things and love seeing new places and meeting new people and the adventure and all of those things, and always feel super blessed to have the opportunity to do it. At the same time, I start genuinely missing what I
Life.
do. Yeah, my
Yeah.
life and my
Well, yeah, like
routine
I
and what I
love my
do.
life.
Yeah,
I love what
absolutely.
I do. I love my family. Like I love my
That's what I was going to say
community.
too.
So yeah.
The son's here, and so just getting back in that normal sort of routine. But then I start looking forward to the next adventure,
Yeah.
at the same time. And that's where the conflict comes in. And I think kind of segues into the balance of you'd recognize that you have to recharge and you want to see new places and feel fortunate to have the opportunity to do those things.
Yeah.
At the same time, you recognize you have to continue what you're doing,
Right.
and you have people that are depending on you to be responsible with your businesses and those
Yeah.
kind of things.
So Caitlin is your second wife, right?
That's correct.
And
Yep.
so your son,
Yep.
how old's your son?
16.
16. So how do you balance when you're traveling and doing things for work, when you have to go out of town and
Yeah.
all that, with being a father of a father in a blended
Right.
environment?
Yeah. Yeah. So we do with Drake, my son, we do 1 week on, 1 week off, a full week.
Oh, great.
So Monday is the transition point, which during the school year is school. So he just would go to his mother's after school on Monday and then come back to our house the next Monday,
Yeah.
which works really well. We did the midweek thing for a while, and we just could never get that to work. But the week on, week off works well. Travel wise, I don't travel near as much now as I used to. And I never was a guy. I feel bad for people. And I know a lot of people do it that leave on like Sunday or Monday and are gone all week or
Yeah.
gone for multiple weeks and then home for multiple weeks.
It's a lifestyle.
It's tough. Yeah. And I do can kind of empathize or sympathize with those people, because I know that, back to the balance, you struggle with the responsibility of providing for your family financially, but also the time commitments of sports and extracurricular activities.
Mhm.
So I'm fortunate now to not have to travel as much unless it's, maybe one night here and there, which is no big deal. And he probably enjoys that break. Or like a trip like this was a little longer, but it was really only a couple of days, because the week that full week we were gone, he was with his mother anyway. But in those times, he just stays with, fortunate to have great grandparents around. And
Nice.
yeah,
And
my parents are
makes a
here.
village.
Caitlin's parents are here. His mom's parents are around. So it makes it a lot easier that you have a bunch of people.
Caitlin's a little younger than you, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
15 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So are like her and Drake closer in age, or like you and her closer in age?
Yeah, that's funny. Drake. Drake. That's always the joke in our house. Yeah, Drake brings that up sometimes. So Caitlin is 28. I'm 43. Drake
Okay.
is 16. So he is closer,
Oh.
12 years to her. But anybody that knows Caitlin, that's the other thing we talk about. And I've said this since we started dating when she was 23 and I was 38.
Was she really
I know.
23?
But if anybody that's ever around Caitlin, we joke, and even my friends joke about the fact that she's far more mature than I am. She's the mature one in the relationship, and she jokes that I'm keeping her young and she's keeping me kind of
like on the straight and
right,
narrow.
yeah. Balance.
Balance.
That's what I'm saying. It all ties together.
Balance. And how did you guys meet?
So another funny story, and I won't say, but mutual friend of all of ours, Brittany, was having a party at her house on Halloween one night, and just met in passing. And that was the first time we actually met, and really just said hi and bye, nothing more than that.
Did you notice her? Ooh.
Well, I think in a social setting, I genuinely really enjoy meeting people and talking to people and learning their story.
Was she
general.
in a Halloween costume?
She was.
Come on now.
Yeah, some kind of cat. I feel like. Yeah, no, I don't think it was that kind of cat.
Meow.
Some kind of cat. But different situations and all those things at the time. So didn't really think much of it, and just hi and bye. And then fast forward a couple of years, we were both working out at Legacy Athletics, CrossFit Legit.
Yeah, where we met.
Where we met.
Were CrossFit competitors together.
That's right. Yeah, we did. Yeah, we told that last time.
Did
yeah,
we? Yeah.
Well, because we were in first place after the first event, and then we finished second to last.
Yes,
yeah,
but we weren't last. We weren't last. That's right.
But it was down to the wire, if I remember. So we reconnected. Yeah, we reconnected and just became friends. And he was completely innocent, just having fun and being friends. And then it just started developing into something more. Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, so it's super cool, and yeah, great.
Yeah.
And now we're going to Hawaii. We went to Hawaii.
Yeah,
So,
you're done. You're
yeah.
done.
So
Yeah.
yeah, she's doing great, and it's a lot of fun.
I
And
thought
she's
you had taken her on like this romantic trip when you told me you were going to Hawaii. I
I
was
think-
like, he finally
Yeah.
like wasn't so tight and spent some of his money and
Yeah.
took her on a great trip. And instead, you were just a kept man.
right. Well, we have done some traveling over the last couple of years,
Oh,
so I
okay.
have taken her places.
Okay.
But funny that several people have said just that, like, "Oh, I bet she was so excited." Like, no, I was excited because she could have asked anybody to go, and I don't not think about that.
I mean, that's true
You know, they
though.
could-
My husband's the same way. Like he's very like in tune with stuff like that. Like, he's like appreciative of all kinds of things that
Absolutely.
so many people in life take for granted. Like she really could have taken a girlfriend.
Yeah, she could have taken her mom. She could have
Yeah.
taken a girlfriend. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I understand that.
I
Yeah, I
love
pay
that.
attention.
I love
And
that.
I'm 43 and never been there. So obviously it's a treat and a great
Yeah.
experience. So yeah, I was very, very appreciative and very proud of her too for achieving those things in such a short time in her career.
Yeah.
She's doing great.
Things
So
that you take for granted when you're young, because I've been to Hawaii 3 times and I've never paid for it.
good for
Figure
you.
that one
Yeah,
out.
good for you.
So when I was 16, my dad won a trip from
Yep.
work, and I like conned my parents to let me go on their romantic trip to Hawaii.
Yep.
And then I went and cheered at the Maui
Oh, wow.
Invitational.
That's cool.
So I've been to Maui 3 times. I haven't been anywhere else. I'd love to go back.
Yeah.
And cheer the basketball tournament there. And the gym is like smaller than like the
Oh, yeah.
youth rec gym around the corner in Maui. Like it is the tiniest little gym with the tiniest little sideline. And then I went back that same year. My dad won another work trip and was divorced, but dating my now stepmom.
Yeah.
But it was like kind of too soon to take her to Hawaii.
Right.
So I got
So
to
you
go
got to
again.
go
I got
again?
to go again. And
Dad,
I-
it's too soon. I
Yeah.
probably should go.
yeah. I was like, man, y'all just
You don't
started
wanna
dating.
rush
You
this,
just
Dad.
got
You don't
divorced,
rush this.
and so
Right.
I got to go and like have like while he's in all the meetings because he's
Oh,
in the
yeah.
automotive industry. The spouse gets the spa and
Yeah.
all the things, and I was loving
Oh,
it up,
duh.
loving it up. It was great. Yeah,
That's
So
awesome.
Maui's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
So whenever the wildfire spread, it was just like, oh my
I know.
gosh, for people that have been there to
Yeah.
see the natural beauty. It's insane. And did you know this has nothing to do with balance, but this can be our trivia for the day. Here's our trivia in the trenches segment.
Okay.
Just came out of my brain.
Okay.
You ready? We
Yeah.
don't even need to plan one. Yeah. You want to do the next one? You can do one for the next episode.
Yeah, I already have it.
Yeah. You ready?
Yeah.
Were you ready?
Mhm.
You were ready for trivia in the trenches?
I have one.
Okay.
that I was
Yeah.
gonna
Is
give
it a
you.
dad joke or is
No,
it
it's
trivia?
and it's Hawaii.
All right. Here's perfect. I'll do this one. You do the next one.
Okay.
All right. You ready? In 2000,
Okay.
what species of animal had never
Oh my
been
goodness.
found in the Hawaiian Islands? General species, not specific.
2000.
In year 2000. It could have been a little later than that, but now it's been there. I'll give you a hint.
Snake.
Yeah, there had never
I
been
thought it
snakes
wasn't there now.
Yeah, they are now. They've
Okay.
been found there now. And so the reason I know that is because these like weird exhibits like in airports, and there was like a big snake picture, and it was like by customs where they were showing all the things that people have been trying to smuggle in, and people had like tried to smuggle snakes into Hawaii for years.
Really?
And they would keep catching them at customs, but eventually I guess somebody like they found like a whole cow in a like
Wow.
carry-on, like
Yeah.
or a calf, right? In a carry-on. But it was they had for so long kept their, fauna and flora so protected. Yeah.
Are
but
the snakes only in certain places?
don't know.
That's
don't know.
interesting.
Yeah, I know. I have to look that one up.
It's going to be hard. I'm going to be honest with you. It's going to be hard for me to wait until next episode for my
You want to
trivia
just go ahead and do it now? Let's do 2 trivia.
I just got a little
trenches.
antsy
All right,
there.
We're gonna okay.
Yeah.
Let's go and do it again.
So, since we're doing Hawaii
Yep.
trivia,
Yeah,
and then we'll
let's go.
shift next time.
Yeah. All right.
Do you
ready?
know how many letters are in the Hawaiian alphabet?
I don't even know that I know anything about that Hawaiian alphabet.
Well, if you
so
think about things like Waikiki, the way that it's spelled, or
So there's not-
Mahalo, or
they're all the
other
lots
words,
of
aloha.
vowels. Lots of vowels.
all the vowels.
All the vowels. So, and then they definitely use some consonants. And we have 26 letters in the U.S.
That's correct.
In the English alphabet. So I'm going to go with 18.
12.
Oh, man, that would be way more
But they
easier.
do count number 13 as the half quote. I don't know what the term
The
for the
apostrophe?
but that's not what they call it, though.
Half
It's
quote.
not called that. Yeah, half
Half
quote.
quote. I like that. I mean, in
Right,
your brain,
you
it is
figured
a
out
half
what I was-
quote.
yeah,
I knew what you meant. It was a half
So they
quote.
count that as number 13 if you do count that, because they use that to enunciate
like an
the sound.
acentos. Acentos is what they call it in Spanish. And so I don't know what they call it in Hawaiian.
That's going to be our next trivia that we have to figure out. But the Hawaiian language traditionally was a spoken language, not a written language. And so when they went to print a version of the Bible in Hawaii, the printing press where they went to, a bunch of the letters were broken. And so they condensed it, and it's 12 letters.
What?
And so the written Hawaiian language has 12 letters, which is why you don't see, I mean, you're not going to get a Q. You could cancel out a Q anyway pretty easy.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
right,
saying? Or
yeah,
Z,
yeah. Okay.
but you don't even have T's and things
Okay.
like that. So when
Got a K.
yeah, so when they say
Wakiki.
things like Tahiti in Hawaii in the traditional language, it's Kahiki. They use the K instead of the
Because there's
T.
no T because
That's
the
right.
letterpress broke.
That's right.
Is
So
that
just
not
tidbit of
great?
info.
What? That trivia was way better than my
No, I don't know. I
trivia.
think that
Yeah.
was good. And I
No.
thought snake, but I thought they still weren't there because we
Yeah.
talked about that.
Yeah, I think they are there, but I don't know if they're everywhere yet.
So shout
Yeah.
out to the history lessons from our helicopter pilot, Mr. Goggins was his name.
You went on a helicopter ride.
We did. Probably, aside from just going, was probably the highlight of the trip.
I've never been on a helicopter ride. So we had one booked in Alaska last year
Yep.
when we took our son on a Disney cruise. And it's very, weather dependent.
yeah.
Helicopters are. And so that day it got canceled.
Really?
It was a helicopter ride in to do I can't think. You're behind
Dog sled?
Yes, dog sledding. I don't know why I couldn't think of that.
Well, there
I'm
for a
like
second I was
holding-
thinking, is this going to be a hard word? I'm going to say dog sled. Am I going to look like a moron?
No.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like holding the
Right.
reins for people listening online, like trying to figure out how I was going to hold the reins. So yeah, so it was.
She was kind of doing more motocross
Yes.
there. Just like I was holding her right.
So then the trip got canceled, so I didn't get to go. So I still haven't been on a helicopter.
Probably highlight of the trip. So Caitlin doesn't typically fly very well. She just not a huge fan of the air travel. Gets a little motion sick.
Yeah.
Did great. And then she was like, we have to do this helicopter. I mean, I know that I might get a little uneasy, but I feel like we have to do it and see the entire island.
Yeah.
We were fortunate. It was like a 6-person helicopter. We booked it for 7 a.m. one morning, and we were fortunate to be the only people that booked the trip. And so essentially a private helicopter. And so I'm sure he
Wow.
took us a little longer and elaborated a little more and got to go see all the waterfalls, did the tour of the entire island. It was amazing.
Now, there are some Jurassic Park scenes.
So we did all that. So Jurassic Park,
yes.
and they left certain things. Gilligan's Island's filmed there. There's all kinds of things. He went through the list, and it's a who's who list of shows and movies that have been filmed on Oahu.
Wow.
And they left a lot of those props in certain areas. So you could see like the big King Kong foot or the dinosaur foot for Jurassic Park. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like, I mean, I guess it's a tourist attraction. It helps
And
bring
it's
people to the
right
island.
beside a cattle farm, a working cattle farm, which is kind of
Right.
interesting that you see Hawaii on TV and think about going, it's beautiful beaches and blue water, and that's all right there visible too. But then come back a little bit, there's huge agriculture there, and
Yeah, there really
wet
is.
side and dry
Well,
side
I
of
think
the
that
island.
was why there's such a big deal going through like customs and security and
Absolutely.
stuff, because they're trying to protect their agriculture.
And should, yeah.
Well, and because they can't ship in beef like we
Nope.
can ship it from Texas,
Right.
being in Arkansas, and I know, and I don't know how much you guys actually had to pay for while you were there since you were on a work trip, but the prices of everything are so drastically so much drastically higher because of the import
Yep.
and export of it. Or
Yeah,
I guess
you
really
figure the
import
majority of everything is imported.
Yep.
Even though it's a United State,
Yeah.
it's not continental, so everything's
Mhm.
having to come by air or sea.
Yep.
So yeah, there definitely inflated prices to some degree. When we were there even at the resort on the Monday after the weekend, everything on the menu went up $2. And we noticed it and just said
What?
something out of curiosity, not complaint, but just like, is there
Hey,
you
yeah,
do this
that's
you do
weird.
this every Monday, things are going to get high. And they were like, no, we haven't raised prices since pre-COVID. And so this
Okay.
is really our first adjustment for inflation. And so where soft drink might have been $9, it went to $11, or whatever,
Yeah.
a beer or whatever,
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's pretty interesting, but talking so much culture there, and I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of, especially just states in the continental U.S. kind of get lumped together. Like the South is the South, the West Coast is the West Coast, where when you go to somewhere like that's an island, they're very
It's so
protective of that
different.
culture, and it's very different. And you can see the culture come out in the food and the activities and all the things, and just seem like a very proud state, very proud people. I had a blast. I thought it was awesome.
Do you think, I remember noticing traveling, somehow we keep talking about traveling. So
I know. I
guess
was just thinking about that.
I guess we're
this
talking about
this
balance
is
and
balancing travel and home.
life.
Yeah.
I guess that's where we're at. So I noticed, like being in Portugal and Spain, in the
Mhm.
U.S., we have this busy hurry
Right.
culture and all of that. Do you think, and it's been so long since I've been to Hawaii now. So the last time I was there, I was going to say I was 20 or 21. So, and I'm 38.
Right.
So it's been
Been a minute.
17 years. Been a
Right.
minute. Yeah. So do you think that, do you feel like they embrace more of like an island lifestyle
Oh,
there?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're on island time for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not getting in now. The service industry, obviously, has to perform at a certain level because there's an expectation for a lot of people that are there on holiday from Europe or traveling from other countries or whatever. But I think just their normal laid back, yeah,
Yeah.
it's 100% embrace the lifestyle. There's a lot of traffic because you're condensed in a
Yeah, no,
small
there is a lot of
lot of
traffic.
traffic.
Yep.
But I was noticing just looking around, like if I would feel myself kind of being in a hurry because we don't deal with a lot of that. A lot of the people that I'm sure are local there just have the windows down and just loving life. They
And
don't
they're
care.
just
Yeah,
listening to
like I'll get
music
there when
and
I get there. It's no
yeah.
hurry. Where
Yeah.
here, everybody's chomping at the bit. You're right, on the phone, texting, saying I'm gonna be 5 minutes late. I think it's just a different culture and lifestyle, and there's an expectation that's different
You think
too.
we'll ever get out of that in the US?
No, I feel like it would probably, if anything, I think it would get worse. I don't think it would ever get better.
How can it get worse? I mean, I guess go to New York City and then
That's what I'm saying. I think
Yeah.
that we were talking to some people from New York that were there and some people from
Talk about
California.
culture shock there. You're going
Right.
from like
That's
Manhattan
right.
to Hawaii is
Yeah.
a whole different
Whole
ballgame.
different world, and they don't think there's any traffic, and so that's what I'm saying, like, if depending on
Yeah.
where you're at and what your experience is, we're just not used to dealing with a lot of that locally here
Well,
in
it's
Saline County or Central Arkansas.
balancing the world based on the lens you're looking through,
100%.
you
Yeah,
know?
everybody's perspective is different.
And so I know that you're self-employed now. Well, I guess you were before too,
Kinda,
and then
yeah.
before that you did have a boss. So I'm self-employed now almost 10 years. And sometimes I catch myself being like, "Oh, the calls, oh, the
Right,
texts, oh, the emails." And then I have to like check myself and realize, do you know how many people wish they could work like this?
right.
My husband and I were talking about this weekend as I try to take that mindset and go, how grateful I am to be able to answer emails on my way to travel
Absolutely.
and still be
Yep,
productive in my job.
yep.
But I feel like that there's so much busyness and hurry in the world. And that's something I'm speaking at conference. So these episodes will launch close to almost to the end of the year.
Oh, wow.
I'll be wrapping up
Okay.
a
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
year of
Yeah, you've been
our
doing this for a minute.
podcasting.
Yeah,
Right. I started
absolutely.
in January.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm speaking at a conference in October, which will have already passed by the time this airs. But and it's a women's conference, like for women.
Mm,
It's not necessarily for like business, but it's like women, but not faith based. And so the topic I'm talking about is like if we could be busy, if I'm busy enough, then I'm good enough. And
I
how
like it.
you learn to peel that back and
Yeah,
realize that just because you're busy doesn't mean you're doing like the right things
right.
or headed towards your goals.
That's right.
And I know you work with business owners and stuff on that, but it's almost like an addiction,
I agree.
you
Yeah, we
know?
used to say, along the same lines, we used to say in our business that there's a difference between being busy and being productive.
Yeah,
And
that's
that's what we
true.
used to tell people is there are a lot of people, and we could all identify them. And I'm not saying there's anything necessarily wrong with it or picking on them, but there are a lot of people that you see that are busy and they find all their time gone, but it's really not progressing anywhere for them or their business.
Yeah.
And sometimes if you could rechannel that and figure out that other things are probably a better use of your time,
Yeah.
and maybe some of the things you're spending all your time on that you think are important probably aren't important.
Yeah.
So no, and I think some of that's just a learned.
Right.
You,
So
you know,
I was watching a YouTube video from Tim Ferriss. I think he's the author of the 4 Hour Work Week, if I'm not mistaken. So have you read that book?
mm-mm.
I haven't either, but I've thought about
Yeah,
it. I should read that, but I hadn't gotten around to it. And he was talking about, people busy versus productive and stuff and using like a virtual assistants
yep,
and delegating. And he said the two struggles he sees with people though in that way is either imposter syndrome
right,
of who am I to ask somebody else to do
right,
something, or I don't know what to give them to do,
right.
And so, but it's that identifying
Yeah,
what that is. And I think traveling, back to our kind of traveling topic here, forces you to get better at that
yeah,
because you got to delegate on one end or the other, or
yep.
you're going to come back totally swamped.
How do you think you do in that regard?
So I have an amazing executive assistant.
We
And
know.
I
Oh, we
know
know.
she's
Yeah.
stellar. She's stellar. And by the time this one launches, I'm going to have another one because
Yep.
she's moving on in her
Yep.
journey, which is, I told her after I cried, I'm not going to lie,
Right.
I did cry. It was a
I
shock. I
cried.
cried. You did not cry.
I thought
Don't
about
lie.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Cried for me because you're like, oh God, Brooke's going to be a disaster. So, take it as a compliment though,
Of course.
because, when you get people and you get great people to
Yep.
start with and you put training into them to make them better and
Absolutely.
somebody steals them, Jay Carey, from you, then, here
Right.
it is, Jay Carey Mortgage Company. There's your drop. Oh, and they take them from you. It's because they're so great.
Right.
And so I'm excited for her. But anyway, so for me, it was identifying that, first of all, realizing I can't do all this.
Right.
And this is not my greatest contribution to the company.
Right.
And I'm still not actually there. So I still am like acting CFO for our companies. And so I not only had to get an executive assistant, learn how to delegate,
Yep.
learn how to release control, and learn how to know that it's okay if it's not exactly the way I wanted to do it. Then I have to realize what is the next thing that I'm doing that's not actually contributing to growth in our companies. Well, somebody can be hired to handle all of our financials
Sure.
reporting. And so I've been interviewing fractional CFO firms, which is a thing I
Yeah.
learned about this fractional
Yep.
world,
Yep.
going to trainings and stuff. I'm like, you're a what?
Yep.
Oh, we're a fractional CMO firm or
Yep.
COO firm.
Absolutely.
And so it's like, wait a second, a small business that can't afford to hire a CFO
Yep.
can get a partial CFO.
Yep.
I'm in. And so that's kind of where we're at. But
Mhm.
it was, nobody wants to come back from traveling or doing anything and have
Right.
all this work to
Be
do. It's like if
bombarded.
you're coming back with 70 emails
Right.
that are actually important. I'm not talking about newsletters from,
Sure.
Amazon or something, but oh my gosh, Amazon, totally different topic here. Did you see how they're getting sued by the FTC?
I did not.
Yeah. Talk about unbalanced. So they're saying that they don't actually offer free shipping.
Based on the fact that it's built into the price?
So I started reading about that, and somebody can argue with me, but I'm going to give my best explanation
Yep.
here, right? All right. Can't say Brooke without oh. See, it doesn't say the same thing. It doesn't mean anything.
Well, it could.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Like glasses, looking
Yeah.
into it. Like, I don't know. Here we are. That's all I got. Yeah.
She
I
tried.
tried.
She
Wah,
tried.
wah. I tried. There's a sound effect for that one. So your Prime membership,
Correct.
FTC is arguing that your Prime membership's value is really actually more like $1,000 a year versus the $119 you're paying, and so that Amazon is not actually selling products; they're brokering access to products with hidden fees.
Wow.
Okay. Right. Yeah. So there was my Amazon story. There's my random tangent.
Nobody's
for the podcast.
immune, I guess.
Yeah, I know. So to finish answering your question, how do you think I do that? Is
How do you think you do at it?
how I do at it?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd probably give me like a 7,
Really?
maybe a
Yeah.
6.5, 7.
Yeah.
But I like know how to get to a 9.
Right. Just a matter
Like
of doing
I'm in the
it.
process, and that's something I taught at a workshop recently. I was fortunate enough to be asked to teach at our local co-working space
Yep.
that I'm an owner in.
Yep.
And they asked me to come in and we're talking about sustaining a business. And one of the things that somebody had said was like, oh, but I'm not good at social media and I just don't want to do it. And I said, that's okay, but you may just have to do it right now.
Right.
And they were like, oh, I'm like, if you can start reframing that you're not going to be doing this forever. I'm not
Right.
going to be doing our company financials forever, but I'm going to do them right now
Right.
until it's a financially responsible decision to now hire it out,
Right.
which is where we're at now. We're to the point now where it's like, okay, now we can hire this out.
Correct.
And so just that mindset shift, I think,
Yeah.
is the big change in it, looking at things from a different lens.
Yep.
Yeah.
You do what you have to until you can do what you want to.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
tell people,
I feel like I
and
should
I
write
do the
that down.
fractional stuff too. I've advertised that, shameless plug, but all the
Fractional for what?
all those, all the above. So
I
depending
mean, you
on,
ain't trying to run financial reports for people, are
I
you?
do. Mhm.
Yeah. Like yourself. Like, do you do all your own work? Or do
Most,
you have,
most of it.
are
Like
you
I,
subbing any of it out?
yeah, very little.
Okay.
I try to do most of it I can, but I'm also not ashamed or too prideful to tell somebody when I feel like I need to engage somebody else,
Yeah.
either just to send them to directly or to just make introductions. And I do a lot of
But
that
that's
too.
a lot about you, though, just even being a friend of yours,
Well,
is
yeah,
that,
and I do that a
is
lot.
that you have so many connections
Yeah,
over the years.
I mean, one of the two biggest challenges for any business to grow and sustain and be successful are people and capital.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the biggest challenges. So if you're a business that has all the right people in place and just needs some capital, it's easy to make introductions to traditional lending or
Yeah.
non-traditional lending sources where there's capital available. And then on the flip side, if people is the issue and process and procedure, then I can help do that. But yeah, I've done the fractional stuff for a couple of years, and some of that can be minimal. I
Are
mean,
you
it's
doing like kind of temporary fractional? Like you're not staying on forever. You're like getting them
oh
to
yeah,
a
yeah,
place
yeah,
where
to
they
a
need to get,
yeah, to
get
a
to,
point.
like getting the
Mhm.
systems in place and here's what you need and now
Yeah.
roll with
Or
it.
getting them to a point where you can clean things up enough that they recognize, wow, it probably makes sense to pay somebody full time to do
To do
this.
this,
Right.
yeah.
But people like CFO networks and all that have been doing that for a long time
Yeah.
and are really good at what they do. And those are companies that I used in a previous life
Yeah.
and then so understood that model. But yeah, same deal, fractional marketing officer, fractional CEO, fractional CFO to get you to a point where you
I
recognize.
had a fractional CMO for like a year, 18 months
Yeah.
to train a team.
Yeah.
And now that team doesn't work here anymore.
Really?
Yeah, right. So it worked for a while and then it didn't. because I trained some people really well, and then there
Yeah.
they went. So it's there's
Yeah.
it's kind of the risk
Yeah.
you take for
Absolutely.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, back to your point earlier about taking some pride in helping build those people to another
Yeah.
level and then them going out on their own and flourishing. I kind of think about it like a head coach in sports. Like if you're a head football coach,
That's
a
good.
lot of people, their legacy is built on not them, but the tree under them of other
Yes.
successful head coaches that have come after them because they helped lay the
I call
groundwork.
that the ripple effect.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Like
so a
it's
lot of people get upset about those things when really, if you think about it, they should take pride in the
I
fact that
do.
like somebody next to me that I'm watching now as a peer is doing something else and bettering themselves. And I had to play some role in that,
Yeah.
Can't take all the credit, but
Yeah, and then there's
we
also
can.
people that have worked. Yeah, we can.
We
We
can
want to.
take the credit.
There's also people that I've worked with too that have realized, based on the growth they were, experiencing, that this is not actually what I want to do.
Right.
And I think that's great too.
Oh, absolutely. That
Like
means you're
people re-
hiring the right people.
People realizing I don't really want to be a leader,
Right.
and everybody doesn't.
Oh, no, and everybody shouldn't.
Yeah.
I actually admire people, and I could give a list of a few. My dad, being one, worked for the same company for many years, retired from that company, never had any desire to go into more of a managerial role
Yeah.
or expand on that because he understood that there was a lot of responsibility and headache that comes with that.
Yeah.
And acknowledging that on the front end, even though that's not my personality, I admire that in people because if you recognize that, most people think just natural progression, like
You've
if
just
I'm
given
really good at
them.
what I do, then I should move up. And then either they fail on their own or realize that's not what's best for them. And so
Yeah.
when people are able to internally recognize, no, I like being responsible for me. I'm really good at what I do, but that's where I want that to stop. I think that's great.
Yeah.
Because it really takes
It
every cog in the
does.
wheel.
I'm so glad that everybody doesn't want to be a business owner. 'Cause
Absolutely.
I need
You're right.
staff members.
That's right.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
need team members that can work and serve and all those things.
That's right.
So do you guys have another travel plans coming up or no?
Yeah. So, Caitlin actually earned another trip
What? You're
while
gonna
we
get
were
to be
on
kept
while we
twice?
were on that trip, and so I don't know. We haven't seen or she hasn't seen the list yet. Maybe she won't take me this time. I don't know. So I better just when's this coming out? I better
Yes,
mind my P's and Q's. Yeah.
December, I
Um,
think.
So she doesn't have the list yet, and there's a million places you can go. So she's got to look at the list, see what's available, and all that stuff. But kudos to her again for already earning another trip.
Wow,
But then
that's great.
we already have plans to go to Greece next year in May, I think. Some
Gosh.
friends of ours are getting
Have you
married.
been?
I've never been. She's never been. So
Oh,
another
yeah,
one.
we got married
I
there.
know, yeah.
So it was just epic. Now, where are they getting married? Do you know?
Mykonos, I think.
Mykonos?
Mykonos. Yeah.
Mykonos. I learned that while I was
Okay.
there, though. Mykonos. Yes, and it is. I had a young girl that I kind of grew up around me. I never coached her, but her and her husband are getting married, or future husband are getting married in Mykonos this next year
Really?
too. So yeah, Parker and Macy.
That's him.
That you're one of their
Yeah,
wedding.
that's them.
Great.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wait, how do you know them?
So Macy and Caitlin have been friends for a long time.
Are they the same age?
Yep, same age.
No way.
Yep.
You're joking.
Yeah.
Oh God, there it is. There it is.
So
12
Papa
years
will
older.
be there.
Papa
Papa will be there.
That'll be great. Well, yeah. So Macy was messaging me. So Greece is just talk about a whole different culture as well.
Yeah.
And the hospitality we experienced in Greece was just absolutely phenomenal. And the Greek people
That's
are
what
just
I've heard.
amazing.
Yeah.
They're amazing. And the history and it's just endless.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you think like biblical times, the Greeks and the Romans.
Right.
That's what you think of. And
Yeah.
like, wait, do you think about the Roman Empire?
I knew that was when she said
Yeah,
the Greek and the
Rome.
Romans. I knew that was coming.
Has Caitlin asked you?
No, she hasn't. But I've seen all the reels.
Yeah.
Or
Do you think about
No.
it? My husband was like, I mean, from time to time, it comes up on my TikTok reels.
well, yeah. Okay. So if
So
if
that's
it
what he
comes up, I
said.
think
That's
about
what
it.
he
Yeah.
said.
Or
That's
like
what
on
he
the
said.
History Channel when I'm
Okay,
flipping through, I'm
yeah.
like, yeah, okay, I see it there. But no, I'm
Yeah,
not
you're-
pondering the Roman
Yeah, I
Empire.
still don't even know where that even started, but I asked
I don't
him 'cause
either.
I don't either. Like,
And I
who-
thought it was ironic, like some of the people that were being like kids and stuff were being asked, like, yeah, I think about that all the time. Like,
like,
what?
what?
Y'all need some balance.
Yeah.
I do think some of those reels and stuff are pretty fascinating. Just some of the questions and stuff. That's pretty interesting.
So
No,
how
I
do
don't.
you? So for people listening that want to travel more, right?
Yeah.
How do you balance financially traveling? So like now you're in
Now
a
there's
second,
a real question.
yeah, you're like in
right.
the second stage of your career,
Mm.
right? So you sold a business, you're in
Mm.
the second stage of your career, but speaking to a younger version of yourself
Yeah.
or an earlier in your career, there's the financial part of saving the money to
Mm.
go, and then there's the potential loss of financial earnings while
Absolutely.
you're gone.
Yeah. Opportunity cost
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah. I don't know what the question was exactly, But
I feel like you've probably still got something to say
yeah,
about it.
I didn't do a lot of traveling growing up. You know, that just wasn't something we did as a family. We went to the lake a lot every weekend. When I played competitive baseball, we would travel. That was like our big trip in the summer for a few years to go somewhere for a baseball tournament. But as far as like Hawaii or going to the beach every year or spring break, I feel like all that's more new, or at
Yeah,
least
so
to
when I
me.
grew up,
Yeah.
I mean, we went to Florida.
Yeah. But there, you know, like
That was it.
every year now, it's Christmas trip, Thanksgiving trip, spring break trip,
I
summer
see that
trip.
and it
It's
exhausts
crazy.
me.
Yeah,
It
it's
exhausts
crazy.
do you just take Drake on all those
No,
types of things? No.
no. Now I hear about it from time to time too. And
Because
so,
all his friends are
oh
going
yeah,
on
he's seeing the
XYZ.
pictures, and I am too. You know, I'm like, wow, which is awesome, and I think it's wonderful because I do understand being more cultured and the experiences, and I think that's where the balance comes
But
in. Is
damn, it ain't cheap.
it's not cheap, and
Gotta think
yeah,
about
I don't know when. Anyway, through work, me too. That was kind of my first foray into really traveling, was going to conferences and
yeah.
doing certain things to neat places. Like, I mean, travel, go to Fayetteville to an office up there, or go to Oklahoma because we had an office there. But as far as like fun, Marco Island or Key West or
Yeah.
Arizona, whatever, you know, fun places really was through work. And so you start kind of taking those things for granted a little bit because you see how neat it is, but you also don't know how much it costs.
No, you don't.
So then when you're like, well, let's run to, you know, Marco Island or Key West for a week because I've been there before. It's super neat, but now you're paying for it. It's like, holy cow, you can easily $10,000-$15,000 easy
Easy.
without doing anything crazy.
And
just
then you're
because
not
things
working
are
while you're gone.
and you're
which
not working.
Depends on your employment. Some people, have paid vacations if they're in a
Correct.
position like
Yep.
that. Some don't.
That's right.
If they're self-employed or if they're
Yeah.
hourly or whatever. So it's a thing. Like for us, we try to take crew on a trip every
Yeah.
year, but this coming year, 24. So we have friends getting married in Australia.
Oh wow.
Yes, and so
Are y'all going?
we're going.
Good for you.
So he wants to go on a Disney cruise again this year. He's 5, right?
Crew does.
Yes,
Yeah.
he's 5.5, and all he talks about in life is another Disney cruise.
Mm.
Well, that's an easy 10,000.
Right.
So for us, we're not going on a Disney cruise this year, and so that's his first experience. I think it's great of going. No, because we are spending our travel money on Australia.
Right.
Now,
Is he going to Australia?
hell no.
Okay.
No, I'm not.
Well, I'm mad with Cruise. I'm mad with him.
Mad. I'm not putting him on a flight that long.
Right.
First of all,
Well, that's true.
Yeah, just going across the pond to Europe was quite a bit this past year, but and because it's like a adult trip,
Right.
There's gonna be no kids there,
Right.
so and it's a small wedding because it's Australia.
Yeah,
A lot of people are going.
That'll be fun.
So, but we do hope to take him maybe to the beach or
Sure.
something. Since
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
in the South, it is cheaper to go
Yeah.
down to the beach. But but a Disney cruise is amazing. But I think the value too, like you're saying, no, Drake, we're not doing that.
Right.
That's a lesson in itself.
Oh yeah. No, I agree. But it's
Teaching your
hard.
kids.
It
and
is
then
hard.
It also teaches your kids to value what you are doing.
Yeah, I think that's the challenge. Balance. I think that's the challenge to balance is you want people to experience things,
Yeah.
but then you also want them to appreciate the fact that you're getting to experience those things.
Yeah.
Because I also think, obviously not everybody's fortunate enough or blessed enough to be able to travel. I think the just time commitment with family and doing things
Yes.
together is far more important than where you go.
Exactly.
Kids will always remember the experience and the time and the fun and
Yeah.
doing things together.
But we were in Europe, or no, it was right before we left, and somebody asked crew. They said, "So are you excited about going to Portugal and Spain with your mommy and daddy?" And he goes, "Yeah, my Lolly's taking me to Branson when I get back."
That's my point. Yeah.
He could care.
Right.
It didn't matter.
That's right.
He was so excited about going with Lolly and her other granddaughter
Right.
to Branson.
Of course.
Couldn't wait. And we got back and they went to
They
Branson.
went.
Yeah. They
And
went
he
to
probably
Branson.
loved it. Yeah.
He loved it.
And still
and
talks about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And wants to wear that shirt every day
Yeah.
to school,
Do the wax hand. Yeah. All that. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah. Little tiny baseball
That's
bats.
it.
And,
You
all
got to
the
have
things
all
that
that.
Silver Dollar City for
That's
sure.
right.
So, well, I'll tell you a funny story about kids, before we wrap up the episode. So, and like just teaching them values. So he is in baseball, fall ball right
Yep.
now, and jujitsu. He wanted
Is
to
he
do
doing jujitsu really?
He's doing jujitsu. He wants to learn to be a ninja. And I explained to him that we have a ninja program at Empire
Right.
Kids. No, that's not the kind of ninja he wants to
Oh.
be. He wants like the yaw, that kind of
I
ninja.
like it.
And so he started jujitsu. And at first he was like, after like the first 2 classes, like, I don't want to go. I'm tired because he just started kindergarten.
Right.
And I was like, I paid the season in full.
Right. You're going.
You're going till March. Like this is, and we are not doing anything else. And he's like, well, I really want to do art lessons. And I'm like, well, we already spent our activity money.
Right.
I've signed you up for baseball. It was like $50, right? And then I've paid it the season in full for jujitsu.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're doing. So fast forward to last week, we're having a fundraiser for our nonprofit, the Impact
Yep.
One Foundation, raises money for kids to participate in activities. So I'm taking him to the dunk tank because I'm trying to start teaching him about all these things that we're doing in business, nonprofit, giving back. And so I'm like, all right, we're going to go up here. Miss Pam's going to be in the dunk tank. Do you want to throw balls at her? We're raising money for XYZ. And he was like, oh, this is great. Does this mean I can take art classes now? Because I told him we're doing this to help parents pay for kids' activities in sports and other stuff. And I'm like, oh, no, this doesn't not. But he understanding. But no, you're not getting art classes out of this. Yeah. But trying to teach them the value of stuff of just because you have the money doesn't mean we're spending the money.
Which is hard. That really is hard.
It is because yes, I have the money to pay for your $50 a month art classes. But we already committed to 2 other activities, and it's about the time again.
It's tough,
Yeah,
you want more for your kids than what you had, and you definitely want to provide a better, a better life or show them some experience. And it's hard to balance that.
Yes.
Getting them to appreciate and understand how much that stuff really is and cost and the time commitment.
Yeah.
And the fact that there are certain people that can't do any of those things, and there are certain people that are going to do way more of those things than you get to do.
And they're going to live in way more debt.
That's right. It's just a tough balance to.
It is.
And it's tough for those kids to understand that because their mind doesn't quite work that way.
And also like those preteen years, it's going to get harder, and you're past those a little.
Yeah, sort of. But
now with the social media,
I was going to say
they can see the pictures. They can see. Used to, you'd get back to August, the first week of school, and that's when you would talk about your summer vacation.
About it. That's right. Yeah, and that's a good point. I guess maybe when we were kids, or especially me, or teenage years, maybe people were going on ski trips at spring break.
And we didn't know.
And I didn't know.
Yeah.
So maybe they were, and I just didn't know.
And
but
we'd come back and the teacher go, what'd you do over break? And everybody would be like, I went to Walmart.
That's right.
Or I went to.
Yeah, now all of it's in your face.
Yeah,
and so
all
for
the time.
kids trying to process that, they don't understand that you're only going to see the greatest things.
Yeah.
Again, all this, I feel like this does all tie into balance.
It does. Yeah. It really does.
Because it is a constant. Drake says stuff all the time, like so-and-so went to Key West, or so-and-so went to the Bahamas, or so-and-so went to here, or so-and-so went to there.
Well, I said, like the senior trip pictures I've seen, like kids, and I'm not judging because I was just in a different state of life. And my parents had the money at this point when I was graduating high school. But like I flew to Dallas for 2 days.
Yeah.
That was.
Which again, to me is still a big, it's still cool.
Like, going to Greece for my senior trip. Like going to, which is, I love that the families are being able to give those experiences to them, but it's just a different world than we were raised in.
It really is. Yeah, I do think people are traveling more, and I think COVID expedited some of that a little more because more people are working from home and remotely.
Or again, maybe we're just seeing it.
Or maybe just seeing it more.
Yeah, because we didn't used to see all the pictures and all that. Like
That's
people were
kind
of pulling one out of their backpack to put up on the bulletin board in the
classroom. Which is it. Yeah.
Yeah,
and you can't tell if it's Malvern or Mykonos. Right. Depending on the picture.
Malvern or Mykonos. That was like
because it's the black and white picture that just kind of got smeared when you were shaking it. And that's all they got. Right.
I know. I love that.
That's pretty funny.
That. So anything else you want to talk about balance?
I don't think so.
Kids? Yeah. It's been a good episode.
I feel like it has.
Yeah, I've had fun.
I feel like we've never had a bad episode.
We have 3 more.
I'm ready.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right. Until next time.
You've been listening to the Grit Crusade podcast with Brooke Plack. Our theme song is Thunder City by Lunar Ray, licensed through Soundstripe. This podcast was produced by Luminate Media Group. Thank you for listening, and we will see you on the next episode.